all set for our next session. And this is something that we all discuss almost every day. This is an evolving technology that has made it to conversations in our offices, in our bedrooms. It's a jury that is divided. Is it an evolving technology or is it a threat? What do we feel about artificial intelligence? Is it a boon? Is it a bane? What does it mean for me and you going forward? And that's exactly what we're going to discuss with our next session and two very special guests as well. Our next session is all about AI Luminate, unlocking the AI potential in India. This session is powered by Peak 15 partners, and we would want to thank them for their continued support. I wouldn't want to take too much time. I would like to invite our next set of guests on stage. Vishal, Dhupar, MD Asia South NVIDIA, Rajan, Anandan, MD Peak 15, and Sir. Gentlemen, the stage is all yours.
Okay. All right. So welcome, Vishal. Great to have you at TiEcon. Vishal's come all the way from Bangalore, so greatly appreciate your being here. You know, we don't know whether AI is going to be good or bad for humanity. We're actually not going to talk about that today. There's enough on the internet. Talk about it every day. There's some celebrity debating with some other celebrity about whether AI is good or bad. What we're going to talk about is how do you build awesome AI-based startups? What's the state of AI today? But before we do that, I'm going to introduce my dear friend Vishal here. There's only been one company in the history of business that has added $1 trillion of market cap in 6 months, okay? So NVIDIA went from 1 trillion to 2 trillion of market cap in 6 months. I just want you to think about that, okay? There are only, $4 trillion market cap companies in the world. So this is actually, if there's one IT company, I think this decade, you know, NVIDIA is it. And Vishal actually didn't join NVIDIA last year. Vishal's been with NVIDIA since 2010. Is the managing director of NVIDIA in South Asia, which includes India, as well as several other countries. And in that role has been playing a very, very instrumental role in helping enterprises adopt AI, helping the government think about AI policy, sits on the several key government AI committees, has been recognized as one of the top AI leaders in India, and is on things like the Telangana mission for AI and many, many other things. So Vishal, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Rajan. And that's the advantage of a friend. Keep good friends. They'll tell you the score, and I'll continue to play the game.
All right, there you go. Okay, Vishal, we're going to start. So what we're going to do, everyone, is I'm going to ask a bunch of questions, and then we're going to open it up for all of you. So please, no startup pitches. Vishal didn't bring his checkbook today. That's for later. But if you have questions about AI, please have your questions ready. We're going to take questions. We'll have at least 10 minutes at the end where we can take questions. So Vishal, I'm going to start with the evolution of AI. Clearly, there's something changed, probably around November of 2022. And talk to us a little bit about, very briefly, the history of AI and what on earth happened, like about 18 months ago, which basically is now brought AI to the front and center. You guys have been working on AI now for, 30 years? Let's start with that.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Year 2012 is what was called the Big Bang of AI. And the realization that we had in that year was that we had the possibility to augment the work of our software engineers. We could now take your and my domain experience, what people often call as data, put it on a universal function approximator, also referred as deep learning, expose it to parallel compute, and you could suddenly teach the computer to write the software. And you could write the software that no human could write. And we solved many problems in that period of time. We solved the computer vision problem, speech recognition problem, time sequencing problems, but we were still doing tremendous amount of work through supervision. And in year 2018, this very paper that came out, Attention is All That You Need, changed the script completely. Now what you could do is that you could understand the context in a very vast fashion. The way to think about it is that if you have a universal function approximator, you can apply it to every layer, and you can create a software as tall as you want, as wide as you want. It's up to you how you want to do it. And because of that, now you could predict, and more importantly, for the very first time, you don't only have to retrieve information, you can generate the new content. And moment ChatGPT was unveiled, everybody understood the magic of AI. And I think it's all got to do by understanding the structure that's underlying it. And if you can understand the structure that's underlying it, be it the language, you can also understand the structure of physics, you can understand the structure of biology. It unravels the mysteries of the world, and you can predict and you can cure what you need to do.
All right, great. Let's talk about accelerated computing, which you guys have coined very beautifully. What is it and why is it critical? Is there a specific meaning of accelerated computing when you guys talk about it? And also, like, which workloads are you accelerating? I mean, it seems everything is accelerating, but I'm sure there's some that are more than others, right?
So the greatest boon that humanity had, and Rajan and I really enjoyed this, for 40 years, Moore's law gave us 1 million times performance. Think about it. Is there a single innovation in the world that can give you 1 million times performance in 40 years? And yet, computing is run out of steam. What the world today requires is 1 million times performance in 10 years. You not only need performance, but you require cost-effective solutions, you require sustainable solutions, you need high-performance computing. Let me share an example. Last night I landed up, it was fairly cold. I've been coming to Delhi for a long period of time. And the question was, why is the weather so different? Why are you having winters that are extended? If we have to understand weather, we probably need to simulate the weather at 1 kilometer resolution. If you have to understand the world's weather in 1 kilometer resolution, you need to put in the entire world's data centers just to run that simulation.
Is that right?
That's
to simulate the world's weather at 1 kilometer, all data center capacity in the world needs to, wow, that's incredible.
And think about it. That will take about 750 megawatts of electricity, energy. Now, is that sustainable? Obviously not. What if with accelerated computing you can do it about 30 to 40 megawatts? That's permissible. And that's just an example why this technology is at a level of excitement that no human has ever experienced.
Wow, okay, I got it. So it's really a million, so that's the simplest way to think about it. It's a 1,000,000x improvement over the next decade.
Yeah. 1 million times is what we did the last decade. 1 million times is what at bare minimum we should do.
That's what we need. That's what we need, and that's
what
I guess,
we require.
what you guys are aiming to do. Okay, let's talk about impact on industries, right? So as we are seeing early impact on industries like healthcare, government, manufacturing. As you look at different industries, I think we have startups and entrepreneurs that come from, just about every sector in India. What is the sector which you think is going to be most impacted by AI, let's say over the next, not over the long term, but over the next 3, 4, 5 years?
There are many industries that will definitely benefit. We are seeing a lot of stuff happening in the financial segment. The fact that the transactions are so large, UPI has really transformed the way it is. But with all good, there's always a devil around. How do you identify the devil? How do you mitigate the devil?
So you're talking about fraud? Are you talking about fraud?
Fraud management is a big thing. On healthcare, the fact that you can carry forward your electronic health together so that from the day one, then when you visited a doctor, right through your records are there and it can be shared based on your confidentiality, on your approval, makes a dramatic difference. The fact that it takes 10 years to basically find a medicine, if you can shorten, and COVID showed us that you can find molecules faster, you can reach R&D. Healthcare is really big. I think there's every industry, and I think the most exciting industry is a fact. I will not name it, but here was a conversation that took place. If we have to go at a leading edge and not do what our operating companies are doing, but think about how we can add value to it. Can I create technologies? Can I create companies using technology in silico? That means, can I simulate it? And the fact remains, you can do it today. You can take the biological world and the physical world, test it out biologically, and then put it in physical part. And our manufacturing is going to benefit. India is going to benefit because manufacturing is our future.
Actually, just on that, I don't know how many of you are focused on manufacturing. I assume quite a number of you, because TI is both not just new age entrepreneurs, but also entrepreneurs who've been building businesses for a long time. At NVIDIA, Vishal was kind enough to host about 60 of our founders at their campus in the US, and we saw your digital twin demos. I mean, it's remarkable to see what's happening in things like manufacturing. All right, let's shift gears, Vishal, to the India opportunity. I don't know how many of you saw this, but last night the government of India announced that 10,000 crores will be invested in the government mission. A large part of that will actually go to 10,000 GPUs that the government will have to actually support startups, research, and so on and so forth. So in that context, Vishal, I had two questions. One, if you look at installed GPU capacity globally, what percentage does India have today? You can give us a rough percentage, right? And then second, how significant is this 10,000 crore investment that the government of India announced yesterday as part of the AI mission? So two questions.
So my smile says it all. By the time I was landing, before talking about weather, the announcement came about the infrastructure. My delight was for everybody who's sitting in this room. And my delight was for the fact that you're creating a highway for innovation, for work to happen, and that's been a curtailment. I'm so pleased that with digital transformation that's taking place in the country, now you can embed AI into it and will allow all of us to not only do research work, but more importantly, bring in solutions for India. The advantage with India is that if you do things here at scale, the population scale, it's applicable globally, and you meet the criteria of scale, linearity, and cost. And that's a big difference. Yes, indeed, everybody wants to talk about past. I know for a fact in the telephone industry, we used to be limited to talk 3 minutes every time we wanted a long-distance call. We had one phone among thousands of people. It all changed, that each one of us are carrying a smartphone. I'm hoping India's advantage is to migrate from general purpose compute to accelerated compute, and you'll have sufficient highway for this country to make a difference.
So okay, that's an interesting idea. You think we'll leapfrog, much like we did? We didn't have landline, we went straight to mobile. We didn't really have narrowband, we went straight to broadband. You think that we'll actually leapfrog into what you're calling accelerated computing, which is sort of the GPU, hyper-versionized GPU of computing? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
you think
absolutely.
we could do that?
So if you look at it, the world has close to about $4 trillion worth of data centers, which is the installed...
$4 trillion of data centers.
$4 trillion.
And how much of that is in India?
And there's a very small percentage of that.
1 or 2%. I don't know.
Yeah, it's approximately around that part.
Okay.
And the world will be double of that, approximately. It should be about 8
trillion. So the world will go from 4 trillion data centers, install capacity, to 8 trillion.
I think that's our advantage. We have no legacy. We're going to take this whole world software into accelerated computing because it makes common sense. And I think yesterday's announcement is a signature to that fact, that it makes more sense to go accelerated compute because the world is about a data center, not about a chip. It's not about a system. It's not about a node. It's not about an interconnect. One single data center is the compute node. And you need AI factories to translate what your nation's sensitivities are, your nation's culture, your common sense, the way we tick, all that will get codified into it, and this nation can benefit from accelerated compute.
So let's build on that, Vishal. Talk a little bit about how do you see AI, in fact, before you showed up, the previous panel, we had one of I think it was the head of STPI who was here, and mentioned that if you look at the AI stack, right, infrastructure, cloud, obviously the hardware, the GPU stack, tooling, and then applications. So far, really, we are playing at the application level. What is the vision? How should India be thinking about our place in the world when it comes to sort of AI and what's going to happen over the next 10, 20, 30 years around the world?
Build for India, let your intelligence be built in India, export the intelligence. That's the way I would look at it. And the reason I make that is fundamentally we have the technical skills. Because of our diversity, we have the data. Of course, we need to create them into data sets, curate it. And more importantly, if you have the infrastructure, you can be building your intelligence locally and exporting it. You can transfer yourself from, you can transpond yourself from a back office of the world to being the office of the world.
So back office of the world to the office of the world. That's pretty good. Let's get specific. Like if you, like obviously the good thing, as all of us know is we have more problems to solve than most other nations in the world, right? We don't have enough schools, we don't have enough hospitals, we don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough nurses, right? So, and a lot of this AI can play a big role. Vinod Khosla has been talking about the AI tutor. Yes. I mean, if any country in the world needs an AI tutor, it's us, because we don't have enough high-quality tutors and teachers and so on. But as you think about all the possible India-specific problems that we could solve, Vishal, what is the one that you get most excited about?
Currently, language.
Language.
23 languages, so many dialects, everybody's got their own way of doing it. It's restrictive by imagination. Look at the big e-commerce companies, you get restricted because of English. Look at different businesses, you get restricted because of that. Of course, Maruti was here, there, everywhere. But why not in each part, on every village? I think AI is going to help us through the unification of the language. If each one of us can understand what we talk, we can translate, we can understand how is it working, we can get the meaning of it, we can get the essence of it, I think it transforms everything. So I strongly believe that we need to go beyond the Anglo-Saxon large language model to an Indic language model. And that, I believe, is a starting block.
So that's interesting. You're saying the most important thing India should focus on in the near term is language, right? Basically building Indic language LLMs. We were fortunate to be investors in a company called Sarvam. So companies like that, I think Ola has announced something, Reliance announced something, so things like that. Okay, all right, good. Let's now move to the startup ecosystem. We are here at TiEcon. What are the challenges that, actually the single biggest challenge Indian startups have faced? We talked about with one of your current colleagues who's not here, Sridhar, who was here at actually TI Digital right. 6 months ago. Thank you for having him join us. At that session, the only thing we talked about, by the way, the shortage of GPU capacity. And it looks like that's going to get solved maybe over the next couple of quarters. But outside of GPU capacity or compute capacity, what are the challenges that Indian enterprises face to deploying AI in their enterprises? And also, maybe you should talk about your Inception program as well on startups, Vishal. What are the challenges that Indian startups face when it comes to AI?
So I think the fundamental thing which was spoken 6 months back, and I know it will get solved, and we are on that journey, there are all the evidence for that, that's the infrastructure part. Because without the instrument of AI, how do you do AI? And as that gets resolved, I think everything else has to do with our own mental makeup. Are we open to doing things at scale? There's several examples. UPI is a great example of scale. But are we all willing to look at scale? Are we all willing to look at not only at the scale, but how do we change the latest into the right way of doing it? Now, for example, Rajan and I are talking, I can pretty much look into his eyes, and I know that what is the next question, is he agreeing with me or disagreeing with me? You were looking at him, and he was already ready to pose a question saying that go for the inception and give an answer. The humans talk in less than 20 milliseconds. When you interact with anything that's digital, it got to meet that objective. Otherwise, you will only use it as a pastime. Once in a while, you'll get excited. It'll never be your productivity tool. It could be a passage of time. And I think that's what we need to do, and we need to do it here in India. We've got talent, we've got scale, and we can differentiate it. The program that Rajan is talking about...
Oh, hang on a sec. 20 milliseconds. When will we get to that? We're not there yet, right?
No, the compute is not there, but that's what humans do, right?
Yeah, I know. But when will compute get there?
It will get there because if you keep
like
scaling...
a quarter away or like... I don't know,
No,
5 quarters away?
No, we are some distance away, but the fact is that it's improving so much. Look at how the emails are reacting. Look at the queries that we can do. Now, every time we type, we can even differentiate between the 3 tools. Some of them are going faster initially and then slowing down because they're saying, okay, I've got your attention, I'll get you the answer. The others are hanging around there, but they're giving in a prompt. So they're reacting to the human part. By the way, this is exactly the same thing that happened in gaming. The reason gaming is so popular, because the maths that goes behind gaming, the whole quest was how do you make the digital world look like real world? And as we've got closer to that, that's why you find games are so advanced. Esports is probably bigger than even physical sports, and lots of the games that we talk about is the same mathematics, literally, the cousin of this mathematics that you're using in AI. So the world that you use to make the world is the world that you are doing to understand it. So it's exactly the same mathematics that's working, and it'll get there because we are doing it in real world. You solve the problem of light, you solve the problem of physics, you will get to closer to that part of it.
Got it. So talk about Inception.
So Inception is our free program. It's meant for startup community. We love to get you on board so that we can expose you to the latest and the greatest of technology. We love to see you basically working with our experts. We love to see you giving your problems to us so that we can solve. At the very heart, the purpose of NVIDIA is to solve hard problems. So if you truly have hard problems, we want to work with you. It's not to say that we have a solution, but together we'll find a solution and the world benefits. And that's the biggest advantage of Inception.
So by the way, I was telling Vishal, I was walking in the adjoining hall, by the way, has a lot of startups. So if you have time, Vishal, you should go by. And there were a bunch of AI companies. So I stopped at one that was really interesting called Fairhinks. Fairhinks AI is the founder here? Fairhinks AI. Oh, there they are. There they are. By the way, they're in your Inception program. They're building these really interesting agents for customer service, HR, and things like that. And by the way, they have a $100,000 grant that you give companies, so thank you for that. But I thought I'd just call them out because they were quite cool. Okay, one last question, and then can we get some mics, please? We have 10 minutes, so we're gonna, if you have a question, please put your hand up. We'll get to you. Okay, before I open it up for questions, you have what, 2,000, how many companies do you have in the India Inception program?
4,000.
4,000 companies in the India Inception program. If you're building an AI company, you're not in the Inception program, you better sign up like right after this. What's your favorite company in the Inception program, Vishal? I know it's a hard question. When people ask me, I never answer that. But tell us what, it doesn't have to be your favorite company, but like a company you're really excited about. What do they do?
So it's always difficult, when it's like asking which child is your favorite child.
I know. So like, not your favorite, like one you really like.
But let's say that because you spoke about Sarvam, I'm really enjoying what they're doing. It's a voice-to-voice bot. It's a difficult problem to solve because you're going to be using the voice and it's going to be on an end device. And yesterday they made an announcement on an end device how the voice will come. We crack that problem, everybody benefits. You spoke about tutors, we speak about doctors, we talk about all kinds of professionals in the world who will benefit from it. So since Sarvam is being spoken about, we spoke more about it. Obviously, everybody is special. And I'm quite certain there'll be much better ecosystem working to solve many of the India's problems.
All right, sounds good. Okay, let's open it up. Questions? There's a hand going up over here. Let me get a mic over here. Then there's a next mic over there. Maybe the second mic, if you can get to the gentleman in the cap. Yeah, go ahead. Just give us your name and question, and please keep it.
Anant here. I have a couple of questions. Let's take the longer
One question, Anant, one at a time.
Okay, so far, yeah. Activity the business transformation, but there's not AI being used to solve some of the real human problems like poverty, food, agriculture. So can AI solve those problems, or if not, how long that will take to get some real world benefit out of that?
So real world problems, are there use cases in agriculture, Vishal, you can talk about?
There's several use cases here in India which have been solved. Obviously, de-weeding is a major problem that grains have. That's being solved. It's very precision-based. You're already talking about identifying the quality of it. So it depends upon the use case it works. I think the joy that I'll get most is when farmers can get instinctive inputs on what they need to do, because that's truly going to support them in their language. and more importantly, getting the precise input how it works. Where the farmer alone, there is pretty alone, right? At the end of the day, he's just using his common sense and their observation power and lessons they've learned from their heritage.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, just in every industry, right? You look at healthcare, you look at education, you look at agriculture. I mean, the use cases are really quite remarkable. And much like what Vishal was saying, I completely agree that India can benefit more from these innovations than any other country on the planet, simply because we don't have enough capacity, right? We don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough nurses, we don't have enough radiologists, we don't have enough, teachers and so on and so forth. Okay, let's go to the, yeah, go ahead.
Right. Okay, my name is C.K. Jain. Well, innovation is a favorite word in our ecosystem. But IA is going to disrupt our world. It's going to disrupt our society totally. I mean, there'll be no jobs. What will people do if IA is going to replace?
You mean AI, right?
AI is going to replace most of the, lower jobs. How do you cope up with this? How's the society going to
Got it. Okay. So I think this is the perennial question. You didn't get it so far. I didn't ask you. Is AI going to take away all jobs, and what's going to happen to humanity? Vishal?
Productivity is a pursuit of mankind. When fire was identified, that's why you're sitting in a room, in a lighting which is nice, and you didn't even speak once about the light. What if it caught fire and burnt us? We learned how to manage that. Productivity is a way forward. Productivity is not a way of replacement. For sure, there'll be displacement of jobs. You'll need to reskill, and you've got to move. I was told in one of the discussions like this that humans are just using about a couple of percentage of their potential mind. If we can just increase that by another couple of percentage, can you imagine the excitement and the joy and the fun of living the world? So I'm not too worried about the job loss. I think what I'm worried about is, are we doing the right skilling and upskilling?
Yeah, fully agree. Yeah, let's, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have heard from Rajan, you also, that India should focus on the application layer of AI because that could be our secret sauce. And US possibly is in the LLMs and all that. When can India become a LLM player? So what is the possibility of India becoming a huge force and doing the LLMs which US is doing right now? So being up there in AI.
Do the LLM now.
Can we do it now?
Saudi Arabia is talking about Falcon now. They're talking about the Arabic language now. This is a country of software engineers. This is a country of technology prowess. This is a country of helping the whole world do it now.
There we go. Time is now. And by the way, that's what companies like Sarvam are doing, right? So these local language LLMs, I mean, look, where I do think India is leading, the Indic language LLMs will be built in India, right? They will be built in India, and we'll see that coming soon. Okay, we have 3 minutes left, so let's just go to the back there. Who's got a mic? Can we get a mic to one of there are 3 hands raised over there. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you, sir, for that talk. My name is Sanidhya. I'm a student at Ashoka University. This is a question about, so in general, we get a mixed response about how students should be using artificial intelligence. A lot of people feel that using AI will essentially take away the skills that you can learn at an important age, whereas some feel like if you don't use and leverage AI at this point in time, you won't be as productive as the relative workplace, the relative workforce right now. So I wanted to take your perspective on how you think students, college
Yeah, it's a great question. How should students?
So, it's really interesting. Vartika was just sitting here. In 2014, along with me, came to Ashoka, and we were trying to explain you how deep learning can automatically extract features and get you ready to do your work, which solves so many of the problems. I think the best way to look at now is if your productivity is going, go and spend some time on the next thing, because we can do so much more. This is not the world that we are living in. We need to go and solve so many challenges in the world. India itself has grand challenges. And Rajan has already spoken about, we don't have capacities. We need to solve those. We need more doctors. We need better teachers. We require better lawyers. There are so many cases which are pending right now. We can apply it wherever it is. I don't think we got to shy away that your productivity is going or your skill will go off. When the smartphone came in or the mobile phone came in, it's not that he made you a better talker. It just connected you better. And because of connection, you have a network, and because of network, you have a value. It's exactly the same way. Productivity is going to be the better value for you.
Yeah, I think just to build on that, look, if you're a student and you don't like computers, imagine like you graduate from university and you don't use computers. You're not really going to be very effective in the workforce, right? So you better be leveraging all the AI that you can get. All right, let's have one last question.
Hello.
We have a minute.
Sir, I had a question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
My question is to Vishal, sir. I am Nishant Mittal. Sir, you just mentioned the role of technology and evolving with fire, and then you talked about productivity. So productivity was a 20th century word. Now the word is singularity. And what singularity essentially means is replacing a human. As far as intelligence is concerned, it's not productivity. AI and singularity is totally focused on singularity. So what do you think about, is your statement that it's not going to lead to job losses, do you actually believe it, or it's just intellectual dishonesty?
How old are you?
AGI, question on AGI. Singularity, Vishal.
So he ran away.
It's getting heated now. It's getting heated.
How
Time
old
to
are
wrap
you?
up. Go ahead, answer the question.
Okay, so I guess you're in your 20s, right? Isn't it too early to start worrying about what humanity is all about, into singularity and stuff like that? But the good part with your question is inspiration and desperation are coming simultaneously. Two sides of the same coin. And because it's on the two sides of the coin, you are also being pushed. How are you going to make a difference to humanity?
Sir, first of all, I just turned 30.
Okay, congratulations.
You look rather young from here, at least. The two old guys can't kind of see that far.
But I get your answers. I know where you're coming from, and it makes total sense when it comes from that vantage point. But to everyone, when a company like Dukan, who's going to speak or has already spoken at this conference, says it very proudly that it replaced 450 of its customer support representatives with just a GPT wrapper, you know that there are going to be job losses. You won't tell the drivers who are going to lose jobs to learn to code or something else. So it's just staring at our faces, sir. And to say that it's just going to lead to some displacement or replacement and not absolute decimation doesn't seem honest.
The honest part is every narrative is a right narrative because that's your narrative. And I wish the narratives in the world was only one, then everybody would have gone in that coin. The distinction is there are multiple narratives and there are different ways to look at different problems. And that's the good part of humanity. And that's why we are not woods and chairs and tables. And therefore, it is a push for us to move forward.
All right, terrific. I think we'll just end on that. I think it's important that we all keep in mind that 99% of the jobs that existed at the beginning of the year 1900, don't exist today. So one thing we can all assume is that all the jobs that all we have 100 years from now won't exist, but there'll be different jobs. So I think humankind has progressed for how many years now? Thousands and thousands of years. We're going to do just fine. And I think as entrepreneurs in the room, we should end with this, Vishal. There's simply never has there been a better time to build. And I think AI is one of these superpower accelerators. I'm going to end where I started. Never in the history of mankind has a company added $1 trillion of market cap in 6 months. And all of us are here because I think we're building companies. There's just never been a better time. Let's give Vishal a big round of applause. Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, Rajan. We'll request you to stay on stage, please. We'd like to offer a small token of appreciation and a photo opportunity as well. Thank you, gentlemen, once again. We'd also like to thank our technology partner, SAP Associate Partner, NetApp Accelerator.